Bench warmers, I'm back, and I'm better than ever. I'm back here with the Center of Attention, episode 1. Oh, I have that wrong. It's not 148, it's 149. So I'm going to do a little editing on the fly. This is why I have the title of producer, but this is why I never have the title of decent producer. It's just producer. Center of Attention this week. Now that we have it right, episode 149. I titled this one Play and Hurt because, as much as it may suck, we're going to podcast through a scratchy throat, a runny nose. My nose has been bleeding like crazy, so I might have another one of those episodes. Nico's also, he's traveling every week, so he has a reason to be worn down. I see 140 12-year-olds a day, but we are going to be talking a lot this week about that toughness factor and that mental toughness, and that leads me to talking about. So last week's Center of Attention, I said football season starts. Well, it hasn't started because miraculously 6 hours before our game on Saturday, the team we were going to play all ends up getting COVID. I don't even know how you get a test that fast and have it come back positive, but they forfeit, which is no big deal. I guess it sucks that we didn't have a game to play, but then I'm thinking about it. This is 6th grade football. This is an 11-year-old team, and their coaches looked at all of those kids in the face and said, yeah, I'd rather save all of us the embarrassment instead of going out there and playing. We'll just say that we got sick. I know it's the 4th time that we've had COVID as a team for however many years in a row. This is a team that was notorious for it. I hope it's not like a foreshadowing of things to come in Pop Warner. I'm hoping that the Buck State Bruins have a game upcoming this weekend. But that toughness and kind of taking it easy, letting the easy way out, leads me into what my initial topic for the Center of Attention was going to be, and that's Swamp Kings. I don't know if people have watched the documentary. Obviously, they have because it's one of the most popular series on Netflix. It's been out for a while. There's 4 episodes, so maybe you haven't finished all 4, but basically it starts and ends in the same place. So if you've seen the beginning and then if you catch like parts of the end, you've basically seen the entire thing. This is one of the greatest just pure storylines. This was our dream that we've asked for however long. This was the writers, the media's dream for however long. Talk about the team with Aaron Hernandez. Talk about the team with Riley Cooper, Marquise Pouncey, Mike Pouncey, all of these guys. A team that had 25 of its players arrested a year that they made a bowl game. They finished 7-3, and since they weren't in contention for the national championship, 27 players arrested on not like misdemeanors, felony charges, all just disappear. And we barely get half an episode that talks about any of this. I was honestly, it was a good documentary. I am entertained. I will watch anything that's college football. I've established that on this show. That's my sickness. But if you're going to advertise that you're talking about all the dirty shit that was going on and then you don't touch on any of that dirty shit, I feel like South Park when they were reading the banned books, like, why is this book banned? There's no obscenity. I was waiting for the cool offensive stuff and I read a whole book for no reason. I watched the whole entire documentary series for no reason. I knew all of what was talked about in the Swamp Kings. So that's where we're going to start off. We're going to get into the rest of the episode. You guys will see the intro music. Be sure to like, subscribe. Thank you for listening to the Center of Attention, and let's get into episode 149.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
We don't get off days here, Nico. We might be both under the weather. We might both not be feeling great. We don't get off days. We got to bring it. We got to bring it for the people that tune in. Far end of the bench, Jimmy Pilato, Nico Bryant, episode 149. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate it. That's why we decided, even though we both had plenty of reasons not to do a show this week, we wanted to bring you the content. You guys deserve it. And we're coming up on the season where we can't take a break, because if we miss a week of the NFL season, we miss out on almost all the storylines. We want to keep up everything. So real quickly, be sure to follow down below at FEOTB Pod. Subscribe to the Far End of the Bench YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Variety Sports Network as well. We're proud to be a member of them. We had our first Talk in the Gridiron last Sunday. This Sunday, 7:45 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'll be back on with Darren and a couple of the other guests from the network. We'll probably have Nico on the show. We're going to have Rev back on that show. And then we're also, last little update here, there is going to be Top of the Mountain returning. Rev and I are doing our preseason / week 1 episode of the Top of the Mountain if you're interested in RMAC college football. All right. That's all the business and the housekeeping. I figured let's get that out of the way, so now we can just focus on the fun stuff. Nico, other than the scratchy throat and the fact that it's 5 o'clock and I feel like I'm ready to sleep for 3 days, How was you last week? The regular season went well.
3-0, 3-0 at the end of the regular season. We're going to Boston, shipping up to Boston now, so that's very exciting. We'll be playing at Gillette Stadium. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Gillette Stadium, where the Patriots play, is where we'll be playing. So we play on Labor Day, which is always exciting. It's a big week. College football's back. PLL playoffs going. I mean, the Nuggets are still world champions. The Avs, Nathan McKinnon's at the BioSteel camp with McDavid and Bedard. I mean, the whole world of sports is fine. Like summer break, fortunately, is basically over. So we are in the thick of getting back in the swing of things.
Not to commit you to something, but are we going to get a new background? Because now, if we continue to advertise summertime, we might depress some of the listeners. Or maybe it's the hopeful thing. We could keep it for a little bit, see how people feel. Maybe that's your indication to subscribe. See if you like the summertime vibes throughout the year. Maybe we'll keep it for a little bit so Nico has some time to relax after the season. But we do have plenty of stuff to talk about. It might be a little bit shorter of an episode because the last few weeks we get chatty a little bit, even though we talk every week. And we were able to actually see each other in person over the weekend, unfortunate circumstances for that. But it was good to see you in person and all that kind of stuff. We've seen each other a little bit more over the last few weeks. We get off topic. We get long-winded. But this week, we'll probably kind of keep it cut down. And we're going to start with college football. So it is week 1. I know week 0 had games. Some of them were okay. We got to see a little bit of some of the questions were, I guess, addressed. You're not going to answer any of the questions just in a week 0 game, but I want to start with that.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know who was playing week 0. I just saw
Caleb Williams threw 4 touchdowns. So
the only thing I saw were the memes of like, if you're watching week 0 football, you're a fucking sicko, and the people in the hospital being like, "Yep, I'm the sicko. Here I am."
Mm-hmm. I was one of said sickos as well. We also watched a couple of high school showcase games. I saw Chaminade, Florida play St. Mary's out of Maryland. Don't ask me why. I just did. That's something that I find fun in my off time, is to watch all of these football games. But before we get into week 1 matchups, the 2008 Gators, what's your take on? So obviously, like some of the backstory of the guys that were on the team, led by Tim Tebow. They were the most popular team at the time. So we weren't around each other at that point, but were you in on the hype, or was that before your college football kind of fandom?
I was a fan of Tim Tebow. Like, obviously, he's a Denver Bronco, for fuck's sake. Like if you're a Bronco fan, you have a little bit of love toward Tim Tebow. You always will. Like, it doesn't matter what he ended up doing in his career. Like, you still have that Tim Tebow part of you that's like, oh, Timmy, like that time was such a fun time. Then Peyton happened, and then we all forget about that. But yeah, that Florida team, and look, that time there in Florida was crazy. Obviously, all the people that were there: Pouncey twins, Aaron Hernandez, Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, Riley Cooper, I'm sure Percy Harvin, Ryan Lochte was at the university, at Florida at the same time.
I think Joakim Noah wasn't Joakim Noah there during that time.
Joakim Noah, Corey Brewer, and Al Horford were all there for basketball. Florida, University of Florida was the place to be in the late 2000s. Like there's no doubt about that. But the fact that they decided that I didn't watch it, but I'm only telling you what I've heard online, and people are not happy. I'm sure you're gonna dive deep into it more. It's like it seemed as though it was a fucking 2-hour show on how to pump Urban Meyer's tires and to make him seem like this all-time great coach. And look, he is a great all-time head coach, but last time I checked, he's trying to rebuild this image that happened for him, the image that happened for him with what happened in Jacksonville 2 years ago. Like, that's just not going to work. And everything that Joe tried to do, it just went down the wrong pipe. Yeah, you had to cover Tebow, and that was majority of the story. There's so many other things that they could have covered. They said, no, I'll pass. And look, as someone that didn't watch it, I've heard it all, and I don't doubt it. And I'm sure you had more to touch on that.
Yeah, I'll probably talk about it a little bit more in depth. I had not finished through episode 4, but it kind of pissed me off that they played the exact same footage that I remember seeing in episode 1. So if you binged it, you saw the same thing twice. But just looking at the 2008 roster alone, and they did a good job of going back. So the first championship was 2006. That was the pre-Tebow Heisman campaign. So they won 2 national titles during Urban Meyer's tenure at Florida. And I will give him the credit that he deserves as a college coach. I always will say that he deserves that credit and then mention every time that he gets in hot water with something, he has some kind of health condition. And it's now seeing it, and they did kind of pull the curtain back a little bit more on that. Apparently, he was addicted to Ambien and drinking when he was a coach in college. That's why he had his health scares or his health episodes. But he's just, honestly, what it showed me, and maybe I'm seeing it just from the way that I want to, Urban Meyer is the biggest narcissist. Like, he has mental disorders out the wazoo. He is such a narcissist perfectionist that he believes if somebody beats him, it has to be some catastrophic. That's why he has a heart failure every time that somebody beats him, it seems like. And the funny thing is that Florida, when he won his national titles, they were 11-1. They weren't undefeated. I think the only undefeated title he had was at Ohio State with Zeke and those guys. But it was just the 2008 roster, like I have pulled up, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 players go on to play in the NFL, and a majority of them played over the average, which is about 2.5 years. They played like 5-6 seasons. Some of them went on to be greats. Some of them never matched what they did at Florida. But that at that time, and you mentioned all the other guys on campus, the athletics parties just had to be debauchery out the wazoo. It was as bad as Miami was. Florida was just as bad. They just apparently nobody wants to take down mighty Florida. We're going to continue to put them on a pedestal even after they've not been relevant. And they're really not that relevant. You know what I learned after watching that? They've won 3 national championships in 100 years of Florida football. Only 3.
Yeah, it's true. And like, look, Miami comparisons come up all the time. Like, oh, the bad boys, the whatevers, like all that kind of stuff. Those Miami teams, those had Hall of Fame players. Like, look, like don't get me wrong, Pouncey twins probably Hall of Famers. Tim Tebow, college football Hall of Famer, not a pro Hall of Famer. Maybe you could have an argument Cam Newton, like that's pushing it because he was only because he was an MVP. Like, there was a great players, but they should have done a lot more in their career, and they'll be known obviously for a lot more of the off field stuff. It's more specifically with Pouncey twins and Aaron Hernandez, unfortunately, and Riley Cooper. Funny enough, like it is wild how all of it tied together of like this once great football team that just literally all hell broke loose. And like I said, it is wild. Some guys obviously did end up better than the others, but it is wild where that football team stands today. Nearly 15 years ago, 15 years later.
Yeah, it's the wildest thing, and I forgot to mention this. The only mention of Aaron Hernandez was Tim Tebow talking about how he was being profiled as the only Mexican on campus. So if you didn't watch the Inside the Mind of Aaron Hernandez documentary, if you didn't watch the NFL at the time, you came to this documentary and you're like, oh, that Aaron Hernandez guy, that sucks that he was picked on for being Mexican. Not that he had a double murder and killed himself in prison for who knows what reason. But they had a full Netflix docuseries on this guy, and then, that sucked. He was bullied a couple of times for being Hispanic.
It's like I said, it's wild the shit that they just didn't talk about. Like I learned more about what those Florida Gators team on Twitter /X now, rather than watching that documentary, which makes me not want to watch it basically. Because like I said, the pumping of Urban Meyer and the pumping of, like I said, I love Tebow, but like the pumping of not all the bad stories, but all the triumphant stories is not why I want to watch that. I want to see the tough times. Like, look, Johnny Manziel doc, you say what it wants, but like there was a little bit of a, he went through all the shit. Now he looks like he's in a happier state of mind. And like, look, you had to show all the bad shit to get to that point. Same thing with the Trashers, the DB Trashers, like that Untold series. Just pumping the tires on a couple of years where a team that literally had some of the biggest storylines in the past decade and a half, like, and just not talking about it is ridiculous.
I don't know. Somebody at Florida must have something on Netflix, or maybe one of the execs at Netflix is a Florida grad. Speaking of Florida, they were one of the first games that I think are worth watching of the weekend. They play Utah on Thursday. That's a rematch from last year when the Utes beat them out in the swamp. Other notable games, there's not a lot of ranked matchups. There's games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, since it is Labor Day weekend. So you get your fill of college football. That is for sure. Ohio State opens up the season at Indiana. That game will be on CBS. I believe that's Saturday. Let's see. Georgia is going to take on UT Martin. How about that? Georgia and UT Martin.
Yeah,
What a scheduling.
who?
Oh man.
Who? Look, the biggest game of the weekend. It's kind of crazy to say this, but it's hard to say the biggest game of the weekend is not CU versus TCU. Like, am I wrong here? Like it's going to be the most.
Or Florida and LSU. Florida LSU is a top 10 matchup. Or Florida State LSU. Florida State LSU is a top 10 matchup.
Yeah. Okay, I take that back. That's probably number one. But for one of the most most viewed games of the weekend will be, it's going to be CU TCU. And anyone that fights me on that can come at me. Obviously, I'm wearing my
you're wearing
stuff.
the shirt. I was gonna say
I got my two older brothers went to CU, and my school doesn't have a football team, so that's where my allegiances lie. And look, I said it that CU could be a bowl bound this upcoming season, and they're facing a team that was in the national championship last year. Like, this is good. Like I said, you will see right away what Shedeur Sanders, what Travis Hunter, what all these great players that Primetime brought over to the University of Colorado will be right off the bat. And look, the spread. Look, I am not Phil Mickelson over here, but the spread is minus 20.5. It is a crazy spread. If I could bet, I would definitely shade that CU can cover and make it interesting. Because the talent that they brought in, yeah, it may not be a full team. Yeah, it may not be TCU's level. TCU lost a lot of guys. A lot of guys. Like we talked about in the preseason rankings. They finished number 2 in the season, and they dropped to what, 20th?
17.
That is whatever it was. The lowest drop of a team was in the national championship, and I believe the modern era. So, like I said, if you have a chance to shock the world, show what you're made of, and put some things on notice. No one expects you to win. Everyone's like, "Oh, TC is going to blow these guys out of the water." No one expects you to win. Put on a show, see what you're made of, and put Colorado football back on the map. So, I'm very, very excited. I won't be able to watch it, unfortunately, because I'll be at the PLL Awards show Saturday night for my boys. But like I said, I will have it, have the highlights on, and be trying to keep up to date the best I can.
They're at 10 a.m. They're the big noon kickoff. So a couple good things for the opening game for Prime. Did you see what Hall of Famer happened to make an appearance at practice this week?
Michael Irvin.
Michael Irvin did. And then defensive tackle Hall of Famer. Did you see who else? Guy that Warren Sapp was out at practice. So those two guys have already come by, checked out what Dion's got cooking down over in Boulder. I'll say over in Boulder because it is basically over on the map. Geography teacher here. But then also Joel Klatt's going to be on the call. If you know who Joel Klatt is, he is a CU guy, born and bred. So you're not going to have some national broadcaster who has no idea who these guys are. He is the lead analyst for college football. You get Gus Johnson, who has one of the most iconic calls of all Denver sports fans' memories. Stokely down the sideline. Oh my God. It broke my heart because it was against the Bengals. But those are the good things. So even if you don't expect a lot from CU, you're going to get a really entertaining product.
I did not know it was Gus and Joel on the call. Well, that makes me even more excited.
They get them for the first 2 weeks. So they get them this week, and then they get them when they go to Nebraska, too. Or when Nebraska comes to CU.
Yeah, if look, knock on wood that we win this week, but if we don't win, I'm going to do everything I can to be in attendance against Nebraska, is all I'm going to say. If not Nebraska, then I'll be in attendance against CSU. Yeah, because I have the next week off.
That Rocky Mountain Showdown going again. That's the CU starts off with 3 really, really watchable games, which is good for the program. It's good for what Prime wants to do. And possibly we could see Colorado emerge more into a national brand because it is very regional right now. We're basically
people are naming Colorado America's team. like people were saying it was Kansas last year because they were like the little engine that could. No one thought any of them. And look, I don't know if CU is going to be as good as Kansas was at the beginning of the year last year, but like, why not have a little fun with what Dion is putting out there and the great talent he has around? Because like I said, there's NFL talent all over the field. Like, there absolutely is. Whether this team can put it together is the question. So we'll see.
And they're going to have a two-way player, that Ty Henry, the big recruit he stole, Travis Henry. He's playing both ways. Travis Hunter is going to be receiver and starting cornerback. That's been confirmed through
he's the guy that people are putting in the top 10, top 15 for Heisman watch, like already. Like that is wild. That is wild to me. But I mean, hey, if this guy's that good, why not?
He chose the HBCU initially over Florida State, and now he's with Prime in Power. They're going to be Power 5, and they got moved into another Power 5 conference moving forward. And the last year. Yeah, the Big 12. But last game that I wanted to mention, it is not the end of the weekend. So the last game of the weekend on Monday for Labor Day is Clemson at Duke, which not really all that interested. But Florida State LSU. If you remember last year, the opening weekend, that was the craziest finish. That was Florida State was not supposed to be in that game. They were not supposed to win that game. It was and now I'm who is the guy from Notre Dame? Brian Kelly. It was Brian Kelly's opener. It was supposed to be like a showcase for him, and it went poorly. Like they lost in one of the worst ways possible. It's a rematch. This time it's in Florida State, and both teams are ranked top 10 in the country. Florida State 8, LSU 5, and Florida State happens to have the second favorite for Heisman Trophy voting at the moment with Travis. I'm gonna Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis is the quarterback for Florida State that is second in the Heisman voting currently. That is a huge game. I'm glad that we get at least one of those in week 1, and we don't have to just sit through a whole bunch of Georgia UT Martins. But that is probably the most competitive one of the weekend.
Absolutely. And like I said, having those, like I said, it's nice to see these schools play against non-opponents that they face every single time outside of a bowl game. Like I said, LSU and Florida State are two very notorious college football programs. Obviously, have not really played very often outside of occasional bowl game, occasional actual championship, whatever it may be. And now that you can see them back-to-back seasons, that's great for the sport. It's great for the product of college football.
Yeah, and that was the game that Mackenzie Milton, who was the quarterback from UCF that broke his leg completely in half. That was the game that he was able to come back and play in after that injury. And if they would have taken care of it, I figured that Disney would have had another script on their hands, but unfortunately it didn't go that way. Plenty of other games. If you're a college football fan, it's the best time of the year. You have college football galore. Let's move on to something that's probably a little bit more pressing in your mind. You just came back. We're going to talk about the games from Salt Lake City.
It's the only thing on my mind currently.
Yeah,
it's hard to think about football in general.
Well, that's a good thing that we're going to save. We're spending some time. So we talked about the PLL for the last 2 weeks. We're going to talk about the games that took place in Salt Lake City. I have the results pulled up, and then we'll look ahead and preview the three matchups that are going to be taking place this weekend in Boston. So last week in Salt Lake City, the games were as follows. Friday night, the Archers lose to the Water Dogs 14-13.
One of the craziest finishes of the season, by the way. It was a 2-point goal that with I believe it was 20 seconds left to tie the game at 13, and then a last second fumble by the Archers goalie went right into Kieran McCardle's hands, and they finished off in regulation. Thankfully they did, because we're an ESPN game and we only had 25 minutes of warm-up time. It would have been like 10 minutes of warm-up time, so it would have been really bad. But luckily that game ended the way it did. So like I said, that was a hell of a game. Absolutely incredible. Two teams that are two of the favorites going on. Obviously, Archers number 1 seed, Water Dogs obviously reigning champ. So there's a lot of hype going in that game.
It was a playoff type matchup, especially if that's the way that the Water Dogs were able to come back and get the win over the top ranked team. Next game on Friday night, it was the ESPN2 game. Redwoods clinched the championship series, and they also lock up that 4 seed in the playoff tournament. Beat the Atlas 12-7. What'd you see out of your guys? You were obviously up close and personal and invested in that one. Didn't take overtime, so now they progressed from only overtime wins. We can win in regulation. And if you want a 3-game winning streak, you might as well get a 3-game winning streak going into the playoff tournament.
Exactly. Like I said, when 1 game is good. When 2 games, you're getting hot. When 3 games, what do we call that, Jimmy? A winning streak. A winning streak, exactly. If you don't get the reference, just you need to. This is all I'm going to say. Major league. Either way, like I said, having that big win against the Atlas, a team that obviously we made the big trade for Omar Dennis, Miles Jones, couple weeks prior. Like, it was great to see that our team come out that hot. We started up, I believe it was 5-0, and then unfortunately had Nakai Montgomery go down. It's undiagnosed right now what his injury may be. We'll see what his timetable is for the rest of the season. It's very, very unfortunate. The kid, he's a great kid. Hopefully he can return and get back to where the level he was playing, because like I said, he's a great player, great guy, one of my favorite guys on the team. If you're a teammate, if you're a guy on the team, you're not just let me say that, but he is. And like I said, I hate seeing things like that go down. It's a clean hit, so be it. But either way, it's always sad seeing a guy go down right before a playoff run starts. But yeah, going in, like I said, offense that has been hitting all cylinders. You're getting 2-point goals out of your rookie defenseman Owen Grant. You're getting Rob Pennell having a day. You have or scoring goals behind the back and pointing to Atlas fans on the end line. You have guys like Cole Kirsch, who was our third pick in the draft in the third round, and him having a 5-point night. 2 goals, 3 assists. I mean, look, this offense is hitting its stride at the right time perfectly. And gearing up for a great matchup with the Chaos on Monday morning at 11:45 a.m. Easter, which is 9:45 here, which is crazy to me. But like I said, you run into a situation where you want to get going at the right time. You look at the last couple champions in the league; it weren't teams that were top of the standings. It was teams that got hot at the right time. It seems as though muster 3 wins in a row, that if you can keep this momentum going, good things can happen. And like I said, anything can happen in the playoffs. And getting a big statement win on last Saturday for us was big, and getting our heads straight. Now that we got Champ Series locked up, let's go chase a ring. So I think the boys are ready, and I like where they're at right now.
It was awesome to see the way that things ended up, and obviously we got to be in person for the one in Denver. So the Redwoods have been obviously I've been converted. If it's not the Redwoods, you know what I'm gonna say, but I'm not gonna say it now because I'm gonna give them their respect. Saturday's games in Salt Lake, the Cannons take down the Whipsnakes 15-11, and the Chaos beat the Chrome 13-7. A couple of those teams, well, at least one of those teams, the Chaos, right, completely out of it. That was the team that was out of playoff contention entirely, right?
The Chrome had a chance. We opened the door slightly for them by winning by 5 goals. They had to win by 12 goals versus the Chaos. Obviously, that didn't happen. And,
only 12, right? Only 12.
Yeah, only 12 to make the playoffs. It didn't happen, so they were eliminated, and they won the Brennan O'Neill sweepstakes is all I'll say. They have won those sweepstakes. In regards to the other game, Cannons get a big one. They were able to secure the second seed. The Chrome and Chaos game ended or not ended, but had a bench clearing brawl, which is very interesting. It looked like a clean hit. That's very interesting to see if there's penalties stricken down, because obviously there's one team playing this weekend and one team that's not, and we're playing the team that's playing that was in that game. So
it's the one with the crazy bald coach that like screams, and he was like telling his
Andy Towers. Andy Towers, the big boy that just loses his mind every chance he gets. So
looks like a strength and conditioning coach in a college program.
He looks like he's basically an offensive line coach at a small D3 school. Is what I'll say.
He's a get back guy. Get back, coach.
That easily just one of the most intimidating guys in the league. So that team doesn't take shit from nobody, and they cost them. I don't think they will. I think it's probably just a bunch of fines. But like that's not insider information. That's just something I've been told. I haven't been told. I don't know if they're suspended. I don't know if it's fines. I don't know what. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just hey, get your shit going. We can't have this happen again. So we'll see. But with that second game, Chrome eliminated, Chaos moving on. That secured the playoff matchup. So.
I see it. Paul Rabel and his brother are probably sitting in the room, and we said it last week with Thomas Shelby. I've Peaky Blinders, by the way. I'm gonna get all the way through it because I love that old gangster type stuff.
It is a great show.
No fighting, no fucking fighting. But do it again.
Top 3 show of all time, in my opinion. Like I have Game of Thrones, I have Peaky Blinders, and I'm gonna put Yellowstone right there. That's my top 3.
You gotta watch The Sopranos.
Dude, those don't miss. Prime, like that Prime Game of Thrones. There's not much TV that beats that. Like I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious. What Game of Thrones did for me and House of the Dragon, the new show that's coming out, which sneak preview of what the guest special will be. It'll be movies, not TV shows, but like that prime television slot of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon gets me going. Like not much else.
They had like a few like a decade and a half run where it was Sopranos, and then that got taken over by The Wire for a little bit, and then they had Boardwalk Empire, which was really popular, and now they've started to kind of find that groove again with Peaky Blinders is not HBO, but those kinds of things. It's all I'm hooked. I've only watched like 3 episodes, but I'm in, and I'm going to start, instead of dreaming in Tony Soprano's accent, I'm going to start dreaming in a Peaky Blinders accent.
Yeah, you'll have a cap like I have. You'll dress like I'm pretty sure you have a cap.
I already do kind of cut my hair that way. I was noticing. I was like, mine's a little long on top, but I wear a hat all the time.
I wear my hair basically like that, so I'm basically full peaky. All right.
It took me a second in the second episode or first episode when you see Thomas doing the heroin. I was like, what the fuck? And then I remembered, oh yeah, it's 1920. That's what a heroin pipe looked like. Oh, cool. If you're listening and you're in my class, don't do that. That's just on the TV show. I'm not advocating. Let's get back to lacrosse. Let's talk about the playoffs. By the way, I've noticed we're at the end of the season. I'll let you wait until the end of the season, whenever the Redwoods do come to an end, and then I want you to give us top 5 or maybe top 3 stadium ranking, because this last week Salt Lake City was taking place at Zions Bank. Wanted to give them their credit because I think I've shouted out all the other ones that we've talked about so far. This week you mentioned Gillette Stadium kicking things off in the playoffs. You guys are the first game, 9:45 Mountain Standard Time, which that's early, but it is going to be on ESPN Plus. And Nico mentioned last week, if you sign up for ESPN Plus through the PLL playoffs, you'll be able to get it for all of those games. So the Redwoods and the Chaos for this playoff matchup, what are we expecting? Obviously, we just talked about the Chaos being one of the more hard-nosed teams and not going to take anything off anybody. Is the strategy maybe to stand up and try and play that way, or are you looking to see maybe more of just plain old Redwood style lacrosse?
Oh, I'm expecting fast pace up and down. Like I said, with possibly with Nakai not playing this week, that's one less offensive weapon. Look, basically this goal in the league and Buzz Riordan, like that's never going to be easy for anybody. And getting a chance to shot at him again is going to be great. Like I said, that second matchup where we played them, Blaze took over. We had our chances to possibly win that game, and then Blaze happened. That's just how it goes, unfortunately. So you're facing a hot goalie, facing a team that's won a championship 2 years ago. That's never gonna be easy. That's never gonna be easy. So I'm expecting our defense to hold us. I'm expecting a good performance from Jack Kelly and company, because Jack Kelly and Buzz Riordan obviously are the 2 Team USA goalies that were at the World Games in June. So 2 guys that are very familiar with each other. But I expect our defense to hold our own and be able to keep this a very, very close game and hopefully get us out on top. But like I said, taking down a team that has won a championship less than 2 years is very, very difficult. So I expect a hard-fought game. I think it's going to be a game of the weekend. I think it's going to be a lot closer than the other 2. But then again, anything can happen. But the Chaos are a damn good team. It's hard to beat a team twice, but someone's got to do it. I'm just thankful we don't have to have a conversation about beating a team 3 times in a row. You'll have to do it twice. So we'll see. But nothing but respect to how good the Chaos is up and down the field defensively and offensively. So it's going to be a tough matchup, but I expect our boys to be ready.
It's all going to be competitive because it's the playoffs, and the fact that it's 1 game elimination. Any bad bounce, if something wonky like at the end of the Water Dogs game happens, that could be the end of the team season now. So hopefully we get to talk more Redwoods lacrosse. We will continue to cover the PLL no matter what. I have to be the one to say that. Nico's not going to say that. He's going to continue to cover the Redwoods. It's awesome to have him as the insider. Next game.
Yeah, these other games, those 2 games, I don't think are as good. I'll tell you that. They're not as good, but they're an interesting match to say the least.
Yeah, well, the Redwoods is 4-5, right? That's because we solidified
4 and 5. Yeah.
So that's you kind of expect that the
Whip
Snakes.
Look at you saying we. Look at you saying we. How
hey,
nice!
Hey, what are you talking about? What?
Look at you.
Roll
Look at
Woods.
you. Look at us.
Roll Woods.
Look at that. I love hearing that.
The Whip Snakes versus the Water Dogs. My other team, Dom has that towel in his room. I have the Redwoods one, but the Water Dogs, you expect them the defending champs, to move on and make it to the semifinal round?
The Whip Snakes are the ones that are interesting here because look, they had the trade for Dylan Malloy, or maybe it was Dylan Morrill, I think, or it wasn't Malloy. Malloy was on the Atlas, but Dylan Morrill from or David Morrill, I don't know, something Morrill, who was on the Chrome, got traded there right before the deadline, and they had him inverted in the lineup last week. He was playing attack, and they moved Zed to the midfield, which is very interesting. Zed is obviously not a loose cannon, but a Swiss Army knife sorts. But like I said, the Water Dogs getting a lot of momentum. I believe it's been 3 in a row now for them going into last week. So they have their own momentum swinging their way. Big win against a team last week in the Archers, who obviously didn't have anything to play for, but still, like that is something that you can carry into the playoffs and carry into that momentum. So, and look, between Kieran McCarter, Michael Sowers, Zach Currier and company, obviously Wardo and Net, like this team is still one of the best teams in the league. Like there's no doubt about that. That's like I said, there's 8 teams in the league. Everybody can be everybody, and it's hard to think that the Water Dogs aren't primed up for another long run here because, like I said, they're a very, very good team overall.
It would make their owners very happy, and I listen to their owners' podcast quite a bit. So they don't give them any credit unless they win championships. You know that they're hungry for that. They also just want another ring. Has anybody gone back to back, or has it been all new champions every year?
The Whip Snakes did in year 1 and year 2. So Whips won the first 2 years. Chaos won year 3. Water Dogs won year 4. And obviously we're year 5 now.
Do we see a dynasty begin to brew? I know you got to win 3. But if you win, you got to win 2 before you win 3.
We'll see. We'll see.
Just saying. Last game of the weekend on Monday, 3 p.m. Mountain Time start. Atlas versus the Cannons. Our good buddy Asher Nolting, your good buddy. I went to school with him, but we didn't run in any of the same circles. I have the same classes, but got to see him in person, and obviously he's a physical presence. I have to imagine that having a guy like that is MVP a huge X factor when it comes to the playoffs.
Yep. They have 2 MVP finalists on their team, and Marcus Holman and Ash, obviously. So, and the Atlas have been a revolving door of guys in their locker room. I don't think they know what they're doing. I'm not going to say that. I don't think they know exactly what their team mantra is, or what kind of team they are yet. When it's a terrible thing to find out in the playoffs. And Cannons obviously are a team that have won 2 in a row. Obviously lost to us 3 weeks ago, but it's a team that is top to bottom, one of the most talented offenses in the league, with Holman, with Nolting, Matt Cavanaugh. I think he will be back for the playoffs, looks like. And then having a guy in Colin, I believe it's Colin, is the goalie. Colin Kirsten, that too, who's been a goalie of the year as well, is massive. But then again, like I said, the Atlas were a team before the season started. People thought that they're the most talented team on paper. You have Jeff T, you have Chris Gray, you have Trevor Baptiste, you have Gavin Adler and Mike. I can't remember who their other top 3 draft pick was, but they have 2 top 3 draft picks, and they have great offense going forward. Eric Law, company that you're like, how does Miles Jones now? How does this team put it together? Well, like I said, in a 1-game scenario, anything can happen. It really can. So, like I said, all that regular season, you made the playoffs. That's all that matters. So, anything can happen. I think, like I said, if I saw an upset, I would lean this one, but I really don't think I think the Cannons will win this game. But if I had to lean one way for a lower seed to beat a higher seed, most people would say the Chaos, because Redwoods are known to choke in the playoffs. But I see it as possibly the Atlas because of how good they are. Individually. Obviously, together, they have not shown that all year. So things could change quickly, but we'll see.
Well, we'll continue to follow the PLL. Make sure you check it out if you're needing something to do at your Labor Day barbecue, because nobody's going to have to work, or at least I don't have to work. That's going to be nice for me. That's awesome. I'm so happy that I get a day off of school. I love teaching, but if you listen to my other podcasts, you know it can get stressful sometimes. Check out the PLL games coming up. That's going to be awesome. We're going to move back into some football. We're going to have my last round of Guess the Bench, and then next week we kind of worked it out on the show. We're going to have the finale of that, which will decide who has the upper hand once the NFL season starts. That will be the first pick 'em as well. So be sure to stay tuned for that in this show, and then next week we'll start our Pick'em series once again. Hopefully I can actually get a win this time against Nico, and I don't keep my Cody Rhodes status officially. But we're looking at, for our NFL previews, last division. We saved it for last for a reason. It is the home of the Super Bowl champions, which Nico hates to talk about. It's also the home of his own team that we both are firsthand experiencing in the Denver Broncos with a new coach, Sean Payton, trying to figure out Russell Wilson. And then you look out to the NFC West, who just had a huge move. Trey Lance gets traded after the 49ers traded three first-round picks to get him, traded to the Cowboys. So Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold are going to be the quarterbacks there. And then Seattle, nobody expected them to be anything after they let go of Russell Wilson. So there's a lot of storylines when you look at the AFC and NFC West. And honestly, if things go well, these could be really two good divisions. If things go poorly, kind of like they did last year, these could be a division that we're looking at like the AFC, NFC South. It could go either way at this point.
I'm not going to go AFC, NFC South version of it. I'm going to go maybe more of – actually, I don't know, because, look, you have this – you have two Super Bowl favorites, in my opinion, in top of these divisions. Obviously, the team that I hate talking about, the Kansas City Chiefs, and then I think the San Francisco 49ers are a team that people are still circling at the top of their board of being like, yes, this team's a Super Bowl contender. No matter if it's Brock Purdy, it doesn't matter if Sam Darnold, a quarterback, they're still a team that you have to look out for. We can start with the Broncos if you want to start there. Start there. Look, I'll just start off right off the bat. The Raiders are the worst team in this division still. Jimmy Garoppolo, I saw that man walk out of the end zone. Like that's still the worst team.
Theo Orlovsky himself.
I know he made Orlovsky look good. That's all I'm going to say, because that was much, much worse. And look, the Raiders, Josh Jacobs, they didn't pay him. They only gave him a one-year deal for $12 million so he could suit up. Their defense, I think, is still diminished. Devontae Adams is trying to find ways to get to the Jets for Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of questions in this Raiders team still. And look, they still have.
I was going to say, you trust Josh McDaniels now?
Yeah, they still have the biggest clown in the NFL at head coach. So that's who I have finishing fourth. Because I don't want to jinx myself, I'm going to put the Broncos third. And be honest with myself, like I said, I would love for this team to fight for a wild card spot. That's what I hope for. I want this team to be in the mix, to have meaningful games weeks 15, 16, 17.
Beat the Chiefs once.
Beat the Chiefs once. That's my goal for this upcoming season, and that's where I would love to see this team. Will it take a year maybe for Sean Payton to get everything going? Maybe. But I think what Sean Payton has done thus far, setting the tone with this team, I think has been very, very good. And the only reason why I have them three is because, like I said, the Chargers will shoot themselves in the foot to find a way themselves to beat them the third. But I'm trying to jinx myself here, so I will put the Chargers second because the Chargers, like I said, the Chargers are a team. If Justin Herbert takes that next step, which people are waiting on. Yeah, he's a hell of a player, but they're still not winning football games and not winning them when they count. Missing the playoffs, losing in the first round after having a 28-0 lead against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Lots of Charger things happening in Charger land is all I'm gonna say. Like I said, it's hard to take the San Diego. It's easy to take the team out of San Diego, but you can't take the San Diego out of the team. Is all I'm gonna say. So the Chargers will be the Chargers, and not to the Chiefs number one. I think the Chiefs team defense will hurt a little bit. Losing Frank Clark, who is now on the Broncos, funny enough, and Chris Jones, who says he's not going to show up till week 8 because he's in a contract situation. That will be massive to the defensive line, because the defensive line is what revs that engine defensively. So that may hurt them the first couple weeks of the season. We'll see if that affects them long term. But like I said, when you have the best quarterback in football, the best tight end in football, it's the best offense in football for the last however many years. It's very hard to pick against this team winning the division.
I'll start at the top. I think it's the Chiefs. Losing, if they didn't have Frank Clark or Chris Jones, the Bengals beat them in the AFC Championship 2 years in a row. And we're talking about the Bengals in back-to-back Super Bowls, and who knows what happens. Philly might have been a different story. They might have actually got one. But anyways, that's what I'll say about the player that I think they might lose and hurt from the most is Orlando Brown Jr. And people are going to say, what? Well, he's a left tackle. He was protecting Patrick Mahomes' blindside. He had a shitty combine. He's an offensive lineman. You're only going to have to do those tests once in your career. And then if you can prove you can play, which he has done, he's been a Pro Bowl selection a couple times. I think he's made at least one second team, all-pro team. And now he's going to be playing on your biggest rival in the conference. I will say that because they also still kind of treat it that way with the jabroni talk and the mayor's not shutting his mouth and everything like that. I think that's going to hurt them because remember what did they struggle with the most when they lost to Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl? They had that pass rush that they couldn't stop.
Yeah.
And if you struggle not locking down the blind side against Patrick Mahomes, he is injurable. He had a high ankle sprain.
And we've done this before. Let's name the edge rushers in this division alone. Like Joey
Sam Hubbard,
Nick in this division. Not even the conference.
Oh, the division. Yeah, Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa,
Max Crosby, Joey Bosa, Max Crosby,
Chandler Jones,
Brandon Gregory, Frank Clark now, Chandler Jones. I mean, like, that's going to be a problem, I think, for them. Like I said, the Chiefs are good enough offensively. Actually, we'll see because Bieniemy is gone now. He's in Washington, but we'll see.
No friends in Washington.
Making no friends in Washington, exactly. We'll see if they're able to keep that all together offensively, but I don't doubt they will because they still have Patrick Mahomes. But like I said, losing those big pieces, like that's some of your core. That's your big core. Like your DBs the last couple of years have not been great. Like I remember Danny Sorensen and Tyrann Mathieu just having to be the guys, and you're like, oh fuck, like that's actually half decent. Now you look at these guys, and they look good because of Frank Clark and Chris Jones. Mm-hmm. Frank Clark being in division now, Orlando Brown not being able to keep Patrick Mahomes afloat. There's a lot of question up front, and whether or not they figure it out in time, we'll see. But like I said, still Patrick Mahomes, still Travis Kelce, still Chiefs, and then that's the only thing you have to say, unfortunately, when you talk about this team. Because we can talk about the holes, but you still have a lot bigger. You have things that can cover that up. We'll see how long is the question.
Biggest piece of masking tape in the entire league. I say Chiefs 1. I'll say Chargers 2 because they just on paper they should be. I think that I'll put the Broncos 3. I'm not going to put them last, even though that's what they finished last year. And I honestly, wouldn't it be poetic justice? It's not going to be week 1. Honestly, I think maybe you lose to the Raiders in week 1 because Sean Payton, it's an extension of the preseason. I know it sucks. I know it hurts. But then hear me out. Josh McDaniels makes it to the other Bronco game. They struggle all year. It's clear that he's on the hot seat. They lose to the Broncos in that second matchup. So the Broncos don't extend that streak, and he gets fired. That's what I'm predicting here. I can predict it here and not with Darren because Darren can shut me off. He's the host of that show. I get to shut myself off, and I'm not shutting myself off for that. I think Josh McDaniels gets fired after they lose to the Broncos in Las Vegas because it's at home week 1, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, we're here in Denver week 1. So, and look, I'm not going to argue with you because my thoughts on Josh McDaniels are very much known on this show. Just go look about
do your job.
Look at all last year, so we'll see. But yeah, look, I would not be surprised. Well, the only reason why they wouldn't fire him is because the fucking what's his name? Mark Davis doesn't have enough money to buy him out. That's the only reason why they'd keep him, because of the stupid contract they gave him. But like I said, he's a coach that should be very much in the hot seat. You have the quarterback that you coached for so many years in New England as a backup, and he turned into nothing in San Francisco outside of one Super Bowl appearance. So let's see what you're made of, Josh. Let's see what you're made of, buddy.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that. Then let's look at the NFC West. So I'll start this one off. I think Arizona is going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Kyler Murray.
Jimmy, did you see what they did on Monday on
I know they can. I don't know when that started. I don't know when that trend started, but they weren't the only ones to call their game before the final whistle blew. Miami did the same thing when they were getting throttled.
Oh, no. I'm talking about what they did on the waiver order on Monday.
Oh, no,
they waived Colt McCoy.
Oh,
you know who's
their quarterback?
Starter? Yeah, you know who's going to be the starter for the first 4 weeks of the season? Josh Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs is a quarterback. Kyler Murray is on either on the pup list or IR, the short-term IR, which means he can't play the first 4 weeks of the season. Which means Colt McCoy, the guy who started games for you, made you actually look like a football team. You released him. You said, fuck it, we're going to lose. Let's just put Josh Dobbs out there. This guy, Kyler Murray, is on a one-way ticket to fucking Las Vegas, it seems like, because the guys that go play at the esports championships in Vegas at this point, because the man will not have a starting quarterback job for the Cardinals starting next year, because you will see an all-time tank job by the Cardinals this year. all time. Because
Caleb
look,
Williams will be the starting quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm almost positive. I'm pretty sure that they have the Bears first round pick as well this year. So they have 2 first round picks. You have look, if they suck and the Bears aren't as good as they are, and they got 2 top 5 picks. Imagine pairing Caleb Williams with fucking. Oh, sure, no, I'll take that back. They have the Texans first round pick. Instead, they have the Texans round pick, not because of D-Hop. They don't have or there's something weird. Either way, they get 2 top 5 picks. You compare Caleb Williams with Marvin Harrison Jr., and you're set for a very long time, is all I'm going to say. So they're licking their chops on the idea that, yeah, Josh Jacobs, go play football for us, man.
Please
go
play.
For us. Please go lose as much as you can.
Pull him and put in the corner if he starts to play well. If he finally figures it out. Nope.
Exactly. Mark my words, that's the worst team in football. I have zero doubt about that.
So I say therefore LA, I think that they stay 3. Seattle will probably be closer to winning the division. It might come down to like we had a couple years ago where it's the final week of the season. Fred Warner made that play to keep the 4th down stop to win the division for the 49ers. I think that it's more competitive like that because all the reports out of Seahawks camp right now in the preseason is that Geno Smith is still going to be Geno Smith from last year. We're not getting New York Geno Smith. That time is past. Nobody's punching him in the locker room anymore. No, not no more. Not know how. Papa don't play that mess. So I think that they'll still be competitive. I could see them if Brock Purdy comes back down to reality and Geno Smith plays just as good as he did last year. You cannot tell me that Seattle doesn't have a shot of winning this division.
Look, the talent that they added, Jackson Smith and Jigba, that's big time for them. Having DK Metcalf, that's 2 good options for Geno Smith. I don't know if I trust Geno yet. I really don't. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I think the 49ers are still the best team in this division. I'm going to pick them 1. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the Los Angeles Rams will be 2. It's weird saying that. Obviously, with the amount of injuries they had last year, I think this team is going to be much better. I really do.
Do you think Bobby Wagner pushes them back over the edge?
Pushing them back over the edge, which way?
That's debatable.
That's the question. But I look at having Stafford back healthy, as weird as that sounds, I think will be beneficial. Cooper Kupp being back healthy too. They're getting a lot of guys back healthy, in my opinion. So I think that. I don't know if I trust the Seahawks yet. I said, look, the Seahawks are a team. If they quote unquote tanked this year and got to Caleb Williams sweepstakes, they'd be the best team in the NFC in 3 years. I would go out on that limb. That's
a lot of NBA tanking talk here, Nico. We don't like that in the NFL.
I know we don't. Hey, your team did it perfectly, okay? And
we just sucked. We weren't tanking. We were just bad.
My team doesn't know how to get a top 5 pick in the draft, okay? So we don't know what tanking is. So it's just mediocrity, okay? That's what my team is. So we don't know how to tank correctly. But yeah, I look at, for me, it's 49ers, Rams, Seahawks, and then I'm going to go, obviously, Cardinals. I still believe in Christian McCaffrey. I still believe in Kittle, Deebo Samuel. That defense over there is just getting better as well. For San Francisco, Joey Bosa coming off a year that he could have won Defensive Player of the Year, or that he might have actually. They are the only thing that's going to get in the way of this team is one position. Obviously, it's quarterback position. But no one, and I mean no one, can hide a bad quarterback better than Kyle fucking Shanahan, is all I'm going to say.
This will put a bow on this conversation, and then we can start getting ready for Guess the Bench. But do you know who the quarterback? So if somehow the 49ers managed to win, did you see the report of who Kyle Shanahan was going to call back to play quarterback in the Super Bowl if the 49ers made it instead of the Eagles?
Who was it?
It was somebody that would make your blood boil. A guy that you saw in your division for years.
Alex Smith?
He doesn't curse.
Oh, Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers was on call. He's like, hey, bro, I know that you got your 10th kid on the way. He's up to double digits now. I know you got your 10th kid on the way. You got to pay for him, right? You got to pay for him. Let's play in the Super Bowl. You never got a chance to in San Diego.
How does that work? I mean, honestly, I don't know what NFL makes.
I don't know. They hired Jeff Saturday as the coach this year. Nothing's real. Really, you and I could get picked off the street. If somebody saw us somewhere, we could get picked. Vince Papale. They made a Disney movie about it. I don't know.
No, you're not wrong. You're not at all wrong. That's all I'm going to say. You're not wrong. But yeah, Brock Purdy, we'll see if he's healthy. Look, I expect Sam Dyson. I don't think he'll be bad at all.
It'll be. I'm interested to see if he's able to, if he doesn't fall off the face of the earth after that magical run. We're gonna get set for guest. All right, it's this time now. I gave Nico sports movies last week. I told him, movies are my thing. I was a communications major. I even might have taken a foreign films class. I didn't know it was a foreign films class. When we showed up on the first day, I got the syllabus. We're like, oh, we're going to watch a 1920s German silent film. Huh? Oh, yeah, this is movies from around the world. Oh, shit. Okay, I guess
Look,
I'm here.
I am touching on a lot of different aspects. All I'm going to say.
Okay.
We got pop culture, we got nerd shit, we got a lot of nerd shit. I'll tell you that right now. I am a Star Wars, Marvel, DC fan. So I'm gonna tell you right now. 3 of the 5 questions are about this. Okay, so that's where we're at. But I think these are all fair questions. I have not tested myself, but some of these questions, it's going to be depending on if you've seen them. That's the major question.
I've seen them. Do I enjoy Star Wars? Not at all. And I know I'm going to get
the Star Wars question is not Star Wars specific, is all I'm going to say. So,
okay.
All right. So, first question: put these MCU movies in chronological order, as in timeline of when, like not when the movie was released, but when it came out, basically, like when it was on the timeline. Ant-Man, the first one, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and Iron Man 3.
Okay, you kind of cut out. So it's Avengers: Age of Ultron, Iron Man 3, and then which one?
Iron Man 3, Ant-Man, the first one.
Oh, that's the one that's going to screw me up. I like that one. I like it a lot. But I'm not necessarily up to. I know that it's Iron Man 3 leads into Ultron because the suit started to get smarter. Okay. And then, oh man, I'll say that Ant-Man's the last one. So I think it goes Iron Man 3, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man.
Bingo, we got a winner. That is correct. That is correct. So we got the first one correct. Iron Man 3 was right before Age of Ultron, and was right after. Because if you know anything about the movie, obviously
I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Iron Man 3, the suits were starting to get smart, and Ant-Man was not in the first Avengers. So there you go. So there you go. That was how I'll do that one. This next one I think is a little bit tougher. John Wick. Have you seen John Wick, Jimmy?
I'm familiar. I've seen the first one, but not any of the sequels.
Okay, I am currently in the middle of. I've watched the first 3. I haven't watched the 4th one yet. I am all over the John Wick era, is all I'm gonna say. So, what is the name of the hotel in which John Wick, where no business can be conducted on these sacred lines? Basically, no killing on these lines. What is the name of the hotel?
I'm not going to be able to give you the name of the hotel, but I think he doesn't go to the hotel in the first one. He goes to the hotel in the second one, right? I at least know that.
He does go to the hotel in each one.
In each one of them? All right. Well, I
very briefly, not as much. The hotel is not as big of a storyline in the first one as in the second and third. Is what I'll say.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get the name. I've seen like all the action sequences. I'll tell you, if I'm gonna watch a one versus all kill 'em all movie, I'm leaning more towards the Equalizer series than the John Wick series. I love me some Denzel, and they have Equalizer 3 coming out. So I'm just gonna. Is it the Rogue Hotel?
It's called the Continental. The Continental.
Assassins R Us.
And you pay with the use of a gold coin. Is how you get in and how you get out, and obviously no killing. So all the assassins live in that building, and no one can kill each other on that line. Is all I can say.
Everybody in John Wick can kill you with a pencil. That's all I know from those movies.
You're not wrong, except when you're on the Continental. Next question: how familiar are you with Harry Potter?
Not at all.
Okay, this may be a tough one then. What is the term in Harry Potter for someone that lacks any sort of magical ability?
Oh, a muggle.
We got a winner. You got that one correct. A muggle.
I was always called a muggle. That's why I know. The nerds would make fun of me. Oh, you're not my nerd. You're a muggle.
Yep, I've been called that too. So that was a little background, making sure you knew what you were talking about. Yeah. 4th one. There are, I believe there's 10 actors/actresses that have been in Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. Name 2 of them.
Oh man. The Star Wars is where I'm not gonna really know. Chris Evans was in both. No, he wasn't. No, Ryan Reynolds was in both. Has Ryan Reynolds been in Star Wars? Now I'm questioning myself.
I'll tell you right now, there's no big 4. Like the main Avengers, none of those guys are in there.
Okay.
It's like no Thor, no Iron Man, Captain America, none of those guys. Think villains.
Villains. Oh, that's even. I'm not going to be able to say the actors or actresses' names. Josh Brolin, because he was Thanos, and he was also in a DC movie, right?
Deadpool was Marvel.
No. I'm just gonna punt. I have honestly, you stumped me. That one was.
Okay. The main ones, Andy Serkis, who he was the Ulysses Claw in Black Panther. He is the supreme leader in Star Wars Force Awakens, and he's Pennyworth in obviously the Batman TV series.
Oh, yeah.
Or actually, not the TV series, the new movie, the new Batman movie. The main one, obviously the most well known, Mark Hamill, the voice of the Joker in all the animated series, Luke Skywalker, and he was also let's see, where was he was also
in Marvel?
Arnim Zola in the animated series Avengers Assemble. That may be too hard on that one. Either way, that one counts slightly. But I thought you might have guessed that one because of the Joker, and then obviously Star Wars because he's one of the most well-known ones. Another one, Zachary Levi. Yeah, Zachary Levi. He's in Thor: The Dark World and Thor: Ragnarok. He voiced Biff, which is the I believe he's the big what the fuck?
The Rock character,
the big stone guy. He's in Star Wars Detours, interesting, and then obviously he Shazam. And then we have also another known one, Natalie Portman. Thor, Love and Thunder, obviously Star Wars Princess Leia, and then Padme. She's Padme, and then let me find what she is in. And she's in V from Vendetta, which is DC, which is crazy. And this one I didn't know. Tom Hardy, Venom. He's in Venom. He's in. Let's see. He's in The Last Jedi. He's voiced FN926, and then obviously The Dark Knight Rises. So those are the main ones we were looking for those. I did not know about Tom Hardy, because he was a stormtrooper, and he was like the main stormtroopers. I never guessed that. So next we have. Yeah, those were tough. I will say that was probably.
I got half. I'm good with the half that I've got.
You're 2 for 4. You're 2 for 4 going into your niche, which is pretty good. Let's see how well you know your Breakfast Club. Our Breakfast Club was the niche you gave me. Bender, who is the bad boy, right? Or not the bad. Yeah, he's the bad boy. I honestly have not seen that movie in a long time. So 2 questions. Why is Bender originally in detention in the Breakfast Club? And how many more times does he get a detention while there? You can be off by 1 or 2 each way.
Okay. He pulled the fire alarm to get the initial detention that he was in there for.
That's the first one.
How about you spend next Saturday with me? Perfect. And the Saturday after that, good. I have no plans. So that's 2 more. I'm going to stick. Most things come in 3s, but that was like a really pivotal part. I'm stuck between 4 and 5. You said you give me 1 extra.
1 off each way.
It's 4 because it's a month. Yeah, I got you for 1 month. I got you for a month.
The trivia site I saw said 7.
Oh, damn it! Yeah,
it's 7. So he's got him. It's 7. So
I got the 1. I got the 1.
You got 3 points. 3 out of 6. I'm up by 1, I think.
I think you're up by 1. So going into the finale of Guess the Bench next week, when we just go back and forth, whoever comes out on top, that person, whatever the differential is, they get that many games.
Showdown is all I'm gonna say. It's ultimate showdown. I picked
those were.
Yeah,
Those
are
were
tough.
good.
No,
I liked those ones, and they were tough, but they were I was able to figure them out. You know what your coach from Mighty Ducks was in detention for in the Breakfast Club?
no idea. I just know
Taped
Gordon Bombay
Larry
deserves
Lester's
better.
butt cheeks together. Duct taped some poor kid's butt cheeks together, and then when they tried to peel it off, he's like, and some skin started to come off. It's like, that was you? Yeah, that was me.
Shout out Gordon Bombay. Shout out
Gordon Bombay gets high in the library.
But yeah, next week we have a showdown. I'm gonna give Jimmy 5 categories. He's gonna give me 5 categories, and we're just gonna see who's the best. Because I think I'm up by 1, right?
Yeah, I got 4 out of 6, so that gives me 13. You have 14. If my math is correct, and we all know that my math may very well not be correct, but these were easy, simple numbers. So I got 3 points. I got another 3. I've gotten average of 3 points. So this was my best round. I got 4 today. So as I'm tallying it up, I have 13. You have 14. So Nico's either going to have like an 8-game lead, or I'm going to come back and get 1 or 2 games on him in the pick'em once the season.
I think next week, like I said, next week, I'm confident in what I know. Is all I'm going to say. I'm very confident in what I know. I'm very impressed with your Breakfast Club knowledge because I haven't seen that movie probably since high school. I think
I need to, now that I'm a teacher. It's like I used to watch Vision Quest every wrestling season. I used to watch Remember the Titans every football season. I pretty much watch Breakfast Club going into every school year. It's like they can work together. They do like each other. They just hate you. They're friends. They hate the teacher and the administration. You mess with the bull, you get the horns.
You get the horns. No.
I still wanted to, when I saw that movie initially, you know how when they open up Bender's locker, there's the guillotine that slides down? I wanted that in my locker so bad.
Oh,
for no reason. I just wanted it.
The niche stuff that we've watched over the years.
It's wild. It's insane.
These kids don't know about good movies, is all I'm gonna say. There's good movies nowadays, but nothing beats the old timers. All I'm gonna say.
I have a few kids that are like classics.
I feel so fucking old saying that. I feel like I should be on my rocking chair on the porch, be like, they don't make them movies like they used to. And I sound like the guy from Family Guy, the dad or whatever, doing that, just sitting out yelling at kids for no reason for that. And look, the movies really just aren't like they were. That's all I'm gonna say.
I do have a few kids that are classics, but it is like, oh, I just watch TikTok. I don't actually watch TV or even YouTube. YouTube's old. What are you? Ew. You watch YouTube? Ugh. Mr. Pilato, you want to be in my TikTok? No, thank you. I am going to abstain from that. That is something I will not do. I got nothing else. I know you got a fantasy draft that you're going to be the commissioner of. I am currently in the middle of one as well. We both battled through the sickness. We got through. That was a pretty solid hour of content for the people. I mean, if I don't toot my own horn, but you know, we've been putting out some bangers.
Toot that nice and good, because, like I said, the boys. Next week is either going to be I only want to talk about football show because we lost, or a let's celebrate because we're on the next one. We're taking the lead by storm. So, like I said, if you're in the Boston area and you're a listener, come out to Gillette. Actually, we play Labor Day weekend. First game at 11:45, game at 2:00, the game at, I believe, 5:00, 6:00 as well, all day long at where the Patriots play. So it's very, very exciting. So without further ado, roll Woods, baby. Like if it's the last time I say it this year, then so be it. It won't be the last time I say it. Maybe on the show, maybe. But roll Woods. Let's get this shit going.
Roll Woods. Be sure to check out Top of the Mountain. Drop in first episode for this season on Friday. Sunday Scaries will be back on Sunday. I'm hoping to get Darren from Fat Boy Fadeaway on. He actually moved up and is a dean now, so I'm going to talk a little bit more school stuff on this week's episode. That's all the content that we have coming up. We'll be back next week. Finale of Guess the Bench, head-to-head, mano-y-mano, and then we're also going to start our 2023-24 NFL FEOTB Pod Pick'em. So be sure to follow at FEOTB Pod, subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out the Variety Sports Network, and if you don't do anything else, enjoy your week. We will see you guys next time.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.